Convention is an annual celebration of the Agora Speakers Formation Day. It is also a celebration of speakers and communicators, a place to meet and greet, a place to share knowledge and experience, a place to compete with the best around the world and also to learn and grow. Indian classical dance or Shastriya Devash is an umbrella term for various performance arts rooted in Hindu musical theatre styles, whose theory and practice can be traced to the Sanskrit text Natya Shastra. The number of classical dances range from 8 to more, depending on the source and scholar. The Sangeet Natak Academy recognizes 8: Bharatanatyam, Kathak, Kuchipudi, Odissi, Kathakali, Kshatriya, Manipuri, and Mohiniyattam. These dances are traditionally regional. They consist of compositions in Hindi, Malayalam, Manipuri, Sanskrit, Tamil, Telugu, or any other Indian language, and they represent a unity of core ideas in a diversity of styles, costumes, and expression. The Natya Shastra is the foundation of treatise for classical dance of India, and this text is attributed to the ancient scholar Bharata Muni. Its first complete complication is dated between 200 BCE and 200 CE, but estimates vary between 500 BCE and 500 CE. The most studied version of the Natya Shastra text consists about 6,000 verses structured into 36 chapters. This text states Natya Lidova describes the theory of Thandava dance by Shiva, the theory of rasa, of bhava, expression, gestures, acting techniques, basic steps, standing postures, all of which are part of Indian classical dances. Dance and performance arts states this ancient text are a form of expression of spiritual ideas, which is the essence of scriptures. Why don't we see a classical dance performance to understand the nuance of it? Coming today to perform Kuchipudi is a teenager, Sloka. She's a trained classical dancer and has been giving many performances. Like any teenager, she loves Instagram. What makes today's performance special is that it's her birthday. So let's make her day special. Give her a big round of applause, Sloka performing Kuchipudi.
Hari Hari Gaja Mukha Vigha Vinayaka Hari Hari Gaja Mukha Vigha Vinayaka Suranudahara Suta Ganapati Jaya Jaya Hari Hari Gaja Mukha Vigha Vinayaka Suranudahara Suta Ganapati Jaya Jaya Hari Hari Gaja Mukha Vigha Vinayaka Suranudahara Suta Ganapati Jaya Jaya Hari Hari Gaja Mukha Vigha Vinayaka Suranudahara Suta Ganapati Jaya Jaya Hari Hari Gaja Mukha Vigha Vinayaka Suranudahara Suta Ganapati Jaya Jaya Tattay Dittay Dittay Rattari Rattaham Tattay Dittay Dittay Rattari Rattaham Dattanu Takina Kina Tonga Dikutom Donga Nangiraka Dindam Nutakina Kina Tonga Dikutom Donga Nangiraka Dindam Sagam Ditang Dittam Tat Tat Tilgam Nangiraka Dindam Nangiraka Dindam Taku Diku Taki Tongiraka Tandik Dikki Taku Diku Taki Tongiraka Tandik Dikki Hari Hari Gaja Mukha Vigha Vinayaka Suranudahara Suta Ganapati Jaya Jaya हरि हरि गज मुख विघ्न विनायक सुरनुतहर सुत गणपति जय जय हरि हरि गज मुख विघ्न विनायक सुरनुतहर सुत गणपति जय जय हरि हरि गज मुख विघ्न विनायक सुरनुतहर सुत गणपति जय जय हरि हरि गज मुख विघ्न विनायक सुरनुतहर सुत गणपति जय जय हरि हरि गज मुख विघ्न विनायक सुरनुतहर सुत गणपति जय जय हरि हरि गज मुख विघ्न विनायक सुरनुतहर सुत गणपति जय जय धिक् तदिकुजं पिन्नं तधिक्कु 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 तकदिन् देवर गणपति धिक्कडिकटक धिक्कु त्वंग तेतु मुनि स्तुति धिक्कडिकटक धिक्कु त्वंग गणपति कौत्वं कलुगु शुभत्वं त्रिगुडदां त्रिगुडदिं त्रिगुडदां पार्वती तनय भक्तवत्सल प्रथम पुरुष प्रमथ गणाध्यक्ष भरत वीर्य प्रदर्शितु निपुणे भरत वीर्य प्रदर्शितु निपुणे भरत वीर्य प्रदर्शितु निपुणे भरत वीर्य प्रदर्शितु निपुणे भरत वेदिकनु विबुधुलु नेचर निरतमु नीनु निरनं विनवरमु निर्विघ्नमुग शुभमुलो गंगुमु भरत विद्य प्रदर्शितु निपुणे भरत वेदिकनु विबुधुलु नेचर निरतमु नीनु निरनं विनवरं निर्विघ्नमुग शुभमुलो गंगुमु
Now, to showcase the powers of our young speakers, we have an assemble of speeches given by our members. Our first speaker is Shaurya. Shaurya is a young, energetic student from DPS. He loves football and dancing. Shaurya, the stage is yours.
Good morning, everyone, or should I start with a simple hello? As we have greater audience from all over the world. So, I'm Shaurya studying in grade 6. Let me start by saying this week has been extremely crazy. You might ask why? Pre-Independence Day celebrations. So, Shaurya is wanted everywhere, starting from dance, skits, parties. In addition to that, I have my exam starting from 16th of August. So, what can I do? I know my answer is a little basic, so I apologize. Despite that, the question is very interesting. I know what you're thinking. What is the question? I'll come to that a little shortly. All of us should ask ourselves this whenever facing a challenging situation. Which is worse, failing or never trying? I also want to ask some people that why do you give up without even trying? First of all, my opinion is never trying is worse than failing. This applies to every aspect of life from sports to relationships to school. If you never try, you will never learn. Giving up before beginning is basically showing your fear. It is not healthy that way. I know, I know this is a lot easier said than done. But in But in life, we must take chances. We must take chances even at the risk of failure. Thinking back, there were many several instances in my life. I never tried out of the fear of failing. Once I had the opportunity to take part in the dance performance. I didn't take it because of my fear. I had a lot of thoughts in my mind. What would the people say? What would my parents say? What will happen to my studies? So I had that question. So I didn't take up the part in the performance. Then I realized what opportunities could I have, what achievements could I have achieved. So so I wanted to trying doing things with my means. So everyone should keep trying because failing is not an option. Thank you and have a nice day.
Our second speaker is Shrikari. Shrikari is a seventh grader from Silver Oaks International School. She loves traveling, listening to music, and singing. Shrikari, the stage is yours.
Good morning everyone, my name is Srikri and today I'm going to talk about the things that make me feel happy. There are a lot of expressions that people can make. A few are common and a few are different across different cultures. But the one expression that is universal and has the same meaning in all cultures is a smile. A smile is something that makes me feel happy, that prevents me from looking tired and also reduces my stress levels. I smile because there's nothing to feel sad about in life. There are a lot of obstacles that you have to face in life, but it is important to overcome these obstacles with a smile. I smile when I start a conversation because it will help others around me feel happy and appreciative and also help me communicate effectively. My family members, friends, good movies, babies, good jokes, and music, all of these things make me smile. A lot of people do not know how to appreciate comments and compliments, but I personally love taking compliments as it boosts my confidence and also helps me feel happy, making me smile. I believe that my smile showcases my confidence. I would like to conclude by saying that a smile is something that starts with your lips and ends in your heart. It is a curve that can set everything straight. Thank you.
Our fourth speaker is Chahal. Chahal is studying in 7th grade from Timpani Senior Secondary School. Her hobbies are swimming, singing, cricket, gymnastics, badminton, and writing stories. Chahal, the stage is yours. Looks like the Zoom master is having some problems. So, how do we keep upgrading ourselves? How do we learn new things? For all these things and many more to happen, we should have a habit of listening to good speakers. Today, we have an acclaimed speaker with us. To introduce our speaker, we have a ninth grader from Oak Valley International School. She enjoys swimming and playing basketball. She is Hansika. Hansika, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Kundan. It gives me greatest joy in introducing this distinguished and acclaimed speaker. She is an Indian sportsperson and chartered accountant who is widely acknowledged as the first Indian woman to become world champion in kettlebell sports. She has represented India at the International Kettlebell World Championship in 2018, 2019, 2021, winning the 3 gold medals for India in that category consecutively. Adding to her medals tally, she has won double gold for the India at the 29th IGSF World Championship held at Greece in July 2022, where got the coveted rank of Master of Sports, which, which is the first by any Indian woman athlete. Her achievements and efforts to bring glory to the nation have been acknowledged by the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra Modi ji. Besides kettlebell, she is a renowned chartered accountant, a practicing member, and national faculty of indirect for indirect taxation from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. She garnered a lot of praise for her recent TEDx speech. She was conferred the Pride of Bengal Award 2022 alongside the likes of Arnab Goswami, Leander Pace, Arnab. Besides the achievements, she is also mother to a 6-year-old, thereby doing multiple roles and acing all of it. She is none other than Shivani Agarwal. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Shivani Agarwal as she is here to present a speech on 3 stories from my life. Shivani, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hansika. Very, very good evening. Well, it's very good evening here in Calcutta, so I extend my warmest regards. And I feel extremely delighted and very, very privileged to be a part of the session today. I've been used to speaking, but not on motivation or to students, but many a times, as Hansika introduced me, on the topic of indirect taxes. And today I'm here to share just a few snippets from my life. I'm a mother to a 7-year-old now, and hence I know what it takes for a child to grow up. And I'm so delighted to convey the little learnings from my life. To begin with, first of all, many people ask me that how do you manage so much? You are a mother, you are a chartered accountant, you lift kettlebells, and you had the fortune of representing India. So how do you manage time? And I'm sure that's one question that must be a concern to many students out here as well. So when I talk about time, I'm always told that, time is a constraint. And say, for example, if I was to talk about a member from my fraternity, a chartered accountant, it's very rare you come across a fit chartered accountant, and the first excuse that's offered is that we don't have the time. In between juggling papers and courtroom meetings and boardroom meetings, it's very difficult to actually find the time. And friends, when I'm asked the question that how do I do it, I always say that it's never about having time, it's always about making time. So even as students, I'm sure you have your friends to hang out with, you have your studies to take care of, you also have a set of extracurricular activities to take care of. And hence, it's very, very important that you learn to prioritize. Right now, as students, your responsibilities are far smaller in terms of when you would be an adult who will also have to manage your family life, your social life, your professional life, and your personal life. But in all fairness, with the immense amount of pressure that all of you students face in terms of your studies, extracurricular, family life, the first and foremost thing and the first lesson that I learned was that you have to manage your time effectively. And it's never about having time, it's always about making time. I'll give you a small instance. Say, for example, if a friend has invited you for a birthday party, come what may, if the invite has been floated a couple of days in advance, you plan your schedule around it. And why do you do that? Because you know that you need to be there for that birthday party, have a good time chilling with your friends and enjoying those moments that will give you memories for life. And hence, what do? Rather than prioritizing your schedule, you schedule your priorities. So on that very same day, if your mother says that, hey, you need to come with me to this, say, for example, a family function, but you already know that you are committed to go for a birthday party. And hence, what are we doing here? we are not really prioritizing our schedule, we are scheduling our priorities. So once you know that you have to make time for that birthday party, you very well will make time. And I also feel that it's very important to say no. It may sound a bit far fetched, but I learned this very late in life that we always try and please everyone around. And my husband tells me that remember, you can't optimize everything, and you're not an ice cream seller. It's not my job to make everyone happy. So if you have a commitment on that particular day wherein you feel that your exams are coming, you are underprepared for a particular subject, and this friend has invited you for the birthday, it's all right to say no. While we know how to prioritize, while we know how to manage our time, there may be a situation or a circumstance where you are underprepared for an examination which is impending or which is supposed to come, say, for example, a couple of weeks ahead. So it's absolutely all right to say no. And hence, I always tell everyone that you cannot optimize. My son is 7-year-old. There are so many times that he's stretched between two friends. And I explain it to him that how it's all right for him to say no to a given friend. So that's my, second most important lesson that I've learned in my life. Now, when we talk about time management, we talk about, the art of saying no, etc. You sometimes realize that how do I figure out like how this needs to be done and what I need to prioritize. So often, you are at crossroads where you don't understand how to move ahead. Say, for example, it could be as simple as choosing in between two subjects. Say, for example, you have to pick up a third language, whether it should be Spanish or whether it should be French, and you are a little confused. So what has really helped me in my journey? Because, let me tell you a little about myself. I was someone who's never participated in a single sports event in school. I was someone who's not even participated in a march past. And well, I was always, modesty apart, good in studies. So when it came to numbers and answers on academics, I was always there. But, we belong to institutions, the kid of the 1980s, we belong to institution where we were not asked that, or we were not really pushed enough to do something. So if there were a batch of 10 out of 50 students who were acing at sports, they were always there, but the remaining 40 were not even asked. So, and I used to be obese for most of my school life, and then to representing the country, and that too for a sports event. Now, how did this happen? Well, I had just delivered my son in 2015, and I had some postpartum weight. And my husband told me that, why don't you join the gym and shed this extra few kilos? Because, a fit body gives you a fit mind. I said, yeah, why not? Now, again, I was someone who's never even been to a gym before. So I hit the gym and I was finding it extremely boring. Now, I had a child to take care of, and my husband was continuously traveling, and it was a completely nuclear setup. And, there is a proverb, and it says that it takes a village to raise a child. And in my case, I was the village. Now, my chartered accountancy practice gives me my bread, butter, and jam. I had a small child to take care of, and yet I had to take care of my fitness. Luck had it, I came across this beautiful equipment called kettlebell. Kettlebell is basically, the kettlebell sports is a competitive sports, and it finds its origin in the erstwhile Soviet Union, Russia. And it's also called the Giriya sport. And you've got to lift this equipment in a given time format in a specific variation. So I just started lifting bells for the sake of some, variety, because I was getting very bored. I was someone who's never been used to working out in a gym or machines, nothing. But I called it quits. Why? Because I was just finding it too much to handle the pressures of a small child and my work and everything. But I met my mentor there, Mr. Arnab Sarkar, who introduced me to kettlebell sports. I started lifting bells for a few weeks, and after which, as I said, I called it quits. And then one fine morning, it was a sunny morning. I precisely remember the May of 2016. He gave me a call and he said that, why don't you begin training home? And I was like, absolutely, yes. And that is when my journey started. And, for a few months from there, or maybe a year, if I'm not mistaken, I was still lifting the bells for the sake of losing weight or becoming fit. I still didn't have it in mind that I will pursue this sport as a sport. But the continuous guidance of my mentor really helped me. The point I'm trying to drive home, friends, is find a mentor across any age, across any gender. I feel the role of a mentor cannot be undermined. A mentor helps you see a higher side of you, which probably you are not aware of. And, you make a living by what you get, but you make a life by what you give. And that's exactly what mentors do. My journey would not have been possible without the contribution of my mentor. So to everyone who's tuned in today, I feel look for your mentor, because you will have so many opportunities in life, but to see that higher side of you that can help you achieve that will be only possible if you have a mentor. Now, one may think that, well, I know how to prioritize and I'll find a mentor and then my life is sorted. Let me tell you, life is full of challenges, and rightly so, because joy and sorrow are the two sides of a coin, because that helps you understand what life is all about. I have been someone who was extremely paranoid of examinations. Well, I am a chartered accountant today, but I've had my share of challenges. I studied in a school where we had state board, and the state board in West Bengal is called the Madhyamik and the Uच्च Madhyamik. And believe me, you friends, the syllabus was huge and there was so much of hard work. Well, it wasn't applied learning like how you have in many international schools today, but there was a ton of hard work. And I used to lose sleep before every exam. Now, let me relate a small instance to you. So I had an examination of life science and I was in class 10. Well, I'm 40 today, so this instance is way back and I remember it so vividly. And, I was losing my sleep. My dad said, "What's the matter?" I said, "I'm not prepared and I'm not getting sleep. I don't think so I'll be able to appear tomorrow." He said, "No worries, just sleep and you do not need to go for your exams." And he just had to say this much. And I got my deepest sleep ever. I wear a garment today, but if I had garment then, I would be able to measure. Probably I got the deepest sleep. But he wakes me up at 6 and he says, "Hey, Shivani, get up." I said, "But why, Dad? You just told me like there is no exam for me today and I can skip the test." He said, "Nothing doing. Go. Whatever you need to know, you know it, and just go and write." And out of 100, I got 97. So, like challenges, we have many challenges even today. I remember as a child, I used to look up to my parents and think, wow, man, what life they have. I wish even I was an adult and I wish I didn't have these exams and these books to study. And, then I later realized that getting old is just a trap. Enjoy life as much as you can. Life is beautiful throughout, but these days of a student life are never going to come back to you. But beyond mentorship, beyond prioritizing, and beyond everything I've spoken until now, also comes an immense amount of discipline. I always say one thing, friends, that if you are persistent, you will get it. If you are persistent, you will get it. And if you are consistent, you shall keep it. So I got my first gold in 2018 at Uzbekistan. The second was in Melbourne in 19. The third was in France in 21. And the fourth double gold was in Greece in 22. As recent as this craze to get more. Well, that's the beauty of the sport, that you never get tired of it. But then some people also ask me that year on year, how do you manage doing it? Because we are given to understand that once you're 40, a sports career is almost coming to an end, and all of that. So I always tell them one thing, that it is the sense of consistency that has helped me. So if I, as students, let me give you an example. I'm a mother to a 7-year-old. And my son is pursuing swimming right now because that's a life essential skill that both me and my husband wanted him to learn. But when I look around and when I see that his friends, one single child will be pursuing football, basketball, lawn tennis, table tennis, golf, horse riding, taekwondo, and maybe more. Sometimes you get puzzled. Am I doing less for my child? The answer is no. You need to prioritize. Brings me back again to the first half of my deliberation where I said prioritize. And whatever you do it with such an immense amount of discipline that be in the top 1 percentile of what you do. Because if you are in the top 1 percentile of what you do, you can never fail. And Warren Buffett always says one thing, that you need not be more remarkable than the others. You need not be more remarkable than the others, but yes, you need to be more disciplined than the others. So discipline, friends, is very, very important. You cannot be shifting loyalties that today I like this and tomorrow I like that and third day I like something else. There has to be a sense of consistency in whatever endeavor you choose in your life. And once you have that sense of discipline, it gives you a mastery on your thoughts. And once you get a mastery on your thoughts, life begins to unfold like sheer magic. So that is something that I believe is extremely important, having a sense of discipline, having a sense of consistency, and being persistent in the pursuit of excellence. Let me relate a small anecdote here. So there was once a marble statue and there was once a marble tile, and they struck a conversation in a beautiful museum in Italy. And whoever visited the museum used to look at the marble statue in awe and used to wonder, what beautiful statue is this? And they used to stamp and trample on the marble tile. So the marble tile told the statue that, hey brother, why is it that when people come, they look at you in awe and they just stamp on me, they do not even give me a second look? The statue said, well, that's the point. But is it not that we are both from the same cave? The statue said, he wondered, and the tile said that, yeah, absolutely. But then why are we treated differently? So the statue paused. And then the statue said that, hey, when the sculptor was trying to work on both of us with his very heavy tools, you are the one who resisted, but I was the one who bore the brunt of his work. And here I am today, a beautiful carved statue, and here you are, a marble tile. So friends, in my life, I chose to be the statue. And in your life, what you choose to do is absolutely your choice. So that is something that you need to remember. And, I always feel that the one formula that never ceases to fail is hard work, and hard work. Well, when I talk about hard work, we've spoken enough, we've heard enough. Obviously, there is also an element of working smart that comes along. But I personally feel that hard work is something that really gives, an immense amount of result. Well, I don't say there is nothing more, because I always feel that there is a divine touch somewhere, that beyond all the efforts you put, there is a touch of the divine that works. You can't explain what it is, but it is there. But, even the luck has a very bad habit of favoring those who work for it. So if you want to get lucky, you need to again put in the work to get lucky. So that is something you also need to keep in mind. Well, having spoken on this, I just wanted to discuss, like the 5 rules that I always apply in my life. I was just noting it down, and let me quickly share it with you. I have another 10 minutes of my deliberation. Go after things you want. So, since I'm a sports person, I do take part in marathons. So I had a marathon to take part in. And we went for this long run. And at the after the run, the organizers, like how mostly the organizers have sponsors, we had a counter where they were giving us energy drinks with bagels. Now, I was famished. And I told my friend who was running with me that, hey, let's get a bagel and the energy drink. The guy was like, no, man, the line is too long. I will not be able to do this. I said, come on, we've done such a long run and it's free, I said, why not? Let's just do it. He said, no. I insisted. Come on, we are all famished and I'm so thirsty. Let's just do it. He said, no. Then I realized that while I was looking at the bagels and the energy drink, and what he was looking at was the long line. So you see, life is such, and you need to go after the things you want. You should not be dependent on what the others want. I wanted the bagel and the energy drink because I deserved it. I stood in the line and I got it. But many a times you will come across so many people who need not want that bagel and the energy drink. But as I said, the choice lies with you. If you want something, go after this, because you may or may not have anyone else to accompany you. But if you are at it, you will definitely get there. The second thing, sometimes we are the problem. I always maintain that taking care of yourself is a full time activity and there is not a single day off. You can't pour from an empty vessel. You need to be a happy friend, a happy student, a happy sibling, a happy friend. So always prioritize your happiness. We are never told that self care is important, but always remember that if you are not a happy person, you cannot make anyone around you happy. So, having said that, sometimes even you are the problem. I think this was way back in Africa, there was a fear of black fever. Now, what was black fever? That every time the women delivered their kids, after a few hours, the women used to die. So there was a lot of research done around this, that what is this black fever and why is this happening? And the doctors could not really come to any conclusion. But much later, it was discovered that the problem was the doctor, because the doctors were not hygienic enough. They were delivering the kids and they were using the same hands to clean up. So there was something about the sanitization aspect which they were not taken care of. And this went on for years and years and years. So sometimes you are the problem. In this case, the doctor himself was the problem, or the set of doctors were. So sometimes in life, when we are at it, you prioritize, you are disciplined, you have a mentor, everything is just working fine the way it should, but you're not getting your results. So introspect. Is there something which is missing inside of you? Because sometimes you are the problem. Third, take care of each other. We are living in a world of instant gratification. You want something, just go on Amazon. And nowadays, even Swiggy has started this instant delivery of grocery. And many of you who would like to date, you don't even need to take any effort. Just swipe left on Tinder and there you are. So in a world where we are living, where everything is, available at a click of a button, it's very, very important to take care of each other. And, you are the sum total of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. So it's very, very important to choose the company that you're hanging out with. And please always remember that company will have a huge influence on how you perform, who you are, your perspective to life. So it's very, very important that you choose your friends wisely. The fourth thing, learn to be a great leader. Many a times you'll come across scenarios where you have been given a task in school. And, being a leader is perhaps the toughest job because, as I said, you are not an ice cream man and it's not your job to make everyone happy. But once you are at a leadership position, whether you are a prefect at school, whether you are a monitor in school, you'll come across many such situations where you are at crossroads and you don't really know how to find a diplomatic way out. But it's very, very important that early on in life, you develop these leadership skills. And rather than wasting time on Facebook and Instagram, do subscribe to channels that can help you develop these social and your soft skills. Because you begin now and you implement later, and it takes you a long, long way in life. Last, position and glory are temporary. We invited this one person for a speech, and this was at one of the associations in Delhi. And the person who was invited by then, I think back then he was a guy of, who was holding a very important office. And there was a lot of hullabaloo at him being invited. And we had a ton of people surrounding him. And, he was well taken care of. And there was a lot of media coverage, etc. Now, I happened to be in touch with this guy early on this year. And he was invited to yet another session by some other association. And I happened to be in this session in the audience. And there were about 5 speakers who were invited. This was happening in the physical format. And he happened to be one of them. And he was sitting in one obscure corner of the room. And, not many people huddling around him. Because in that particular session, they had another speaker who was holding another very important portfolio from the government office, and hence he was the one who was given all the attention. I made a move and I said, "Hello, sir, if you recollect, you were at one of these sessions a couple of years back." And he said, "Yes, but see how times have changed, because now I am no longer holding the office, so no one seems to know me." And that's when I learned, friends, that position and glory are temporary. While, joy and sorrow, as I said, are two sides of the same coin, enjoy while it lasts. And, whenever you have a joyous moment in life, enjoy it. And don't just, be so indulged in clicking selfies and putting it on Instagram, because if you're enjoying a moment, it should be etched here and here. Whether it's on your phone or not is a separate thing. So learn to live that moment rather than capturing it and keeping it for some, social media platform. But having said that, even if you come across a situation in life where things are not going easy, always have your faith in the divine, always keep working, and remember that this too shall pass. Whether it's joy, whether it's sorrow, believe me, this too shall pass. On a last note, a small anecdote that comes to my mind, I'll share that and then I'll, hand it over to the organizers. Kak cheshtha. This is a Sanskrit word where kak means a crow, cheshtha means the effort. So as a child, I remember that, we often read this story where a crow was very, very thirsty, and it came across a pitcher of water. And while the pitcher was this big, the water was right at the rock bottom, and it wasn't possible for the crow to dig in and sip the water. It got one piece of stone, kept it inside the pitcher, then another, then the third, then the fourth, then the fifth. And it kept doing that till the level of the water rose, and the crow was able to sip that water. Rome was not built in a day. Whatever you add, whatever endeavor in life it is, believe me, it will fall in place. Life is so magical. You just need to just start working on life. And this is by far the best phase of your life, being a student. Ask me, I would bet anything to be a student all over again. So with this, I'd like to thank you all for a patient listening. And I'd like to hand it over to the organizers. Thank you so much and a very, very good evening.
Thank you, Shivani. Shivani, are you open for quick 2 questions, if that's okay with you?
Absolutely. Yeah. Why 2? I would take 5. I love to, talk and know more about people from the audience. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. The first question was from in the chat room. They have written, ma'am, would you like to be called as a mother or a kettlebell world champion?
Okay. So the role I love playing the most is that of a mother. The turning point in my life came when my son was born. That is when I realized that you can love someone more than you. And in many, many ways, I raised myself. So Sadhguru once said that you never raise a child, you raise yourself and the child gets raised automatically. So even my son who's 7 today, I never go out to teach anything to him. Fitness, discipline, it's a way of life for him. And I think he's learned a lot by seeing his parents. If I was to recollect a single bad memory of my childhood, I have none. We had a very humble upbringing, but a very, very solid upbringing where you knew that your parents are there with you. And I would love to do the same for my child. So I think it's always a mother first, then a chartered accountant, and then an athlete. Because, my bread, butter, and jam comes from my CA practice. And the first time ever I tasted success, glory, was being a chartered accountant. So I think while all the 3 roles are very, very dear to my heart, but without a doubt, being the mother is the most beautiful journey of my life.
Thank you, Shivani. We actually answered the second question also. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anyone from the audience would like to ask any questions? Okay. Yeah. I got one more in the chat room.
Yes.
It says, ma'am, you said that we have to use social media in a positive way, but there are a lot of temptations and we do get carried away sometimes. So, how do we train ourselves not to get carried away?
Okay, I'll give you a small example. We all get carried away. I can't deny. Even I, well, most of the times I used to log in and see how many likes I have because I don't know, this is so artificial that even if you get one random like, you feel at the top of the world. If someone unfollows you, you get depressed. So, what happens, friends? I'll give you an example. For anyone who smokes, why does that person smoke? Because there is nicotine. And whenever a person consumes nicotine, there is a release of dopamine in our body, and that helps you feel good. Likewise, if you talk about someone who indulges in alcohol, it's the same release of a chemical. It helps you feel lightheaded, but it helps you feel good because there's a release of dopamine. Likewise, social media is by far very, very addictive because every time you log on to a social media platform and you see a like or a follower, there is a release of dopamine and it helps you feel very good. Now, imagine that this social media has come to a point where you are sitting for dinner with friends or with family. Rather than enjoying the meal, the first thing I've seen people do is to click a picture and post it on Snapchat that, hey, this is the meal I'm having. So while you've recorded it and you've let the world know, but your heart and your mind, you've completely relinquished it. I mean, it doesn't have any memory of that. One of the fondest memories I have of my childhood, they are crystal clear here. We didn't have any social media back then. We did not even have mobile phones back then. What touches your heart will always remain in your heart. So what do we do to overcome this? First and foremost, when you set an alarm, don't use a telephone to set your alarm. Most of you would say that, the phone rings and that's how I wake up. It costs you not more than 100 rupees to get an alarm clock. Start charging your phone in your drawing room or your living room and not beside you in the bedroom. Number 2, make it a point not to carry your phone when you're out for a family gathering. Could be 5-6 people are going, okay, well, one selfie to banta hai, or maybe you need to call the Uber. So decide in a group of 6 friends that only one person would carry the mobile. Because when, it's always the environment. I always feel that motivation is very overrated. I don't believe in self-motivation at all. I believe in the environment. I was consuming very little water, but then what I did in my house, in my office, everywhere, I just told my guys, just keep a bottle of water. If I see the water, I feel like consuming the water. So likewise, if you're hanging out with people who are always on social media or who are always putting updates, you will be bound to do that. So brings me back to the fact that I said that you're a sum total of 5 people you spend most of your time with. Start small. As I said, charge your phone in the living room. The first thing that you get up in the morning, you should not see the likes and the comments on Insta or Facebook. You should start with maybe a meditation or anything that you feel is personal to you, which is I call self-care. Could be simple things like stretching or deep breathing. And also when you restrict your social media, whenever you are traveling outside, keep a standard time of say half an hour when you're going to do all of that. And I think these small little steps will take you a long way in helping you curb your use of social media because this demon is here to stay. I would say it's a necessary evil, but we need to kind of learn to deal with it rather than completely keeping it aside and not being a part of it. I would say it's better that we learn to deal with it.
So rightly said. 100% agree with what you said. Thank you so much, Shivani, for joining. I'll just call on
Thank you, Vajanti.
Thank you. Hansika, floor is yours.
Truly inspirational and motivational speech, ma'am. We thank you for joining us and giving us your time. Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for Mrs. Shivani Agarwal.
Thank you so much.
Now I hand over the stage to the Master of Ceremonies, Kundan Shagri.
Thank you, Hansika. Now is the time to explore the mysterious South India. To take through these travels, we have Sreshta. Sreshta is a 7th grader from Silver Oaks International School. Her hobbies include painting and reading books, but currently is a tourist guide who donned on the hats of Sherlock Holmes to take through the mysterious journey of South India. Please put your hands together for Sreshta. Sreshta, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Kundan. Hello, everyone. With the journey. Hello, everyone. After a 2-day journey of the north and the east, let's embark on the journey of the south. Did you know that southern part of did you guys know that despite the southern part of India actually being a plateau with the western side slightly higher than the eastern side, there are two rivers that flow east to west, and they are the Narmada and Tapti. The southern part of India encompasses Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Telangana, as well as the union territories of Lakshadweep, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and Pondicherry. Let's dive into the mysteries of the South. So fasten your seatbelts because this is going to be a roller coaster. And let's get going. Among the 70 pillars at the side, one is hanging in midair, and that is it exists without a support. People come to the temple and pass objects under the pillar and believing it brings prosperity into their life. Yes, it is the hanging pillar of Lepakshi. People think it's just another one of the old tricks of temple builders of the past. From pillars to deserts in middle of greenery, can one believe that right on the banks of River Kaveri, it is believed that a widowed devotee of Lord Shiva has once cursed the land, following which the village Talakadu turned into a strange desert and a mysterious place in India, where the river Kaveri mysteriously turns into a swirling whirlpool. Deserts are mysterious. What about having twins? The extraordinary yet fascinating thing about an otherwise ordinary village in Malappuram, Kerala, is the strikingly large number of twin births it witnesses. Accordingly, or the village of twins, as it now called, have the largest number of twin births recorded, and accordingly is one definitely deserves a place in the mysterious places in India. Now, Korendi is currently home to over 200 pairs of twins and 2 sets of triplets. When you take step into the village, you'll start to see doubles of almost everyone. And that's not all. Korendi women who are married outside the village also end up having twins or triplets. Unbelievable, right? You heard about acid rains or hailstorms, but there's a special day. Apart from a place with natural, rich splendor of the Western Ghats, a vast forest reserve, and a tempting coast in Karib, Idukki, or the Red region, is also famous as one of the most mysterious places in India. The red color rain at Idukki first fell on 25th July 2001 and occurred sporadically for the 2 months, staining clothes and buildings as it poured. This blood red downpour, when collected by locals, turned into clean water with red particles settled at the bottom. Rameshwaram in Tamil Nadu holds immense importance to Hindu mythology. But there is something else about the bridge that makes it
the place, one of the most mysterious places in India. That is the floating stones which can still be seen today. A trip to Rameshwaram is not complete without visiting the ghost town. Dhanushkoti was a flourishing town until half a century ago, till a cyclone destroyed it on the night on December 22nd, 1964. The storm wiped out almost all traces of human settlements. Then what about the musical pillars? Can sounds be produced from stones when you need to see it to believe it? Originally built in the 15th century, the Vittara temple is one of the most extravagant pieces of architecture in Hampi. However, what sets it apart from other equally glorified temples in the country is a collection of 56 musical pillars, which produce musical sounds when tapped gently. In India, we are very hospitable. There are some sentinels in Andaman and Nicobar Islands which think different. North Sentinel Island in the Indian archipelago of Andaman and Nicobar is home to what's widely believed to be the most isolated tribe ever. Where there are several uncontacted people in the world, what makes the Sentinels special is that unlike most other tribes, they remain uncontacted, not because of the geographical isolation, but rather primarily because they actively reject it and even use violence against those who try to establish contact. According to research, the language and culture of the Sentinel does not bear resemblance to any other in the vicinity, leading to the premise that they have possibly remained without contact with the outside world for the thousands of years. Coming closer to home. In spite of being closer to the equatorial regions, this place is known for recording the lowest temperatures in winters, 1.5 degrees Celsius. That is Lambasangi near Visakhapatanam. A caution, this is definitely not for the weak stomached. The first question that one might ask is, so how do I get there? Cochin International Airport, located in Kerala, India, is one of the few airports that has best connectivity to the Agatti Airport, also known as the gateway to Lakshadweep. And the flight from Cochin to Agatti takes approximately 1 hour 30 minutes. Flights operate 6 days a week, and it takes Agatti Airport is not just like any other ordinary airport filled with duty frees and coffee houses. The thin airstrip of the Agatti Airport is surrounded with still waters, and that are enough to get you adrenaline rushing, returning you safely to the mainland. I bid adieu now as I hand you safely back to the masters of ceremony, Kundan. Kundan, back to you.
Thank you, Sreshta, for making the journey very interesting. To make our session more exciting, now is the time for the annual Agoracon Humorous Speech Contest. To conduct this, we have a young 7th grader from Silver Oaks International School who loves playing tennis and painting. Please put your hands together for the contest master, Chavi. Chavi, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Kunda. I, Chavi, your contest master, welcomes all Agorians and guests to the third Agorathon Humorous Speech Contest. Every year in Agora, we recognize the best speakers from our membership. The way our contests are structured, as well as our contest rulebook, represent our vision for public speaking as a tool that enables leaders to achieve their goals and effect a positive change in the world. You will see that we don't have a generalistic speaking contest because for us, public speaking is a means to a goal but not an end in itself. Today, the contest will be judged by the Chief Judge Mike Nicholson, and he will be assisted by a team of judges. We have two timers, Hima Varshini and Shrikare, and tally counters Japesh, Anirudh Pakala, and Fulchand. We have 5 contestants competing today. The contestants' speaking order has been drawn. To be eligible, a contestant must be a registered member of the Agora Speakers International Foundation, be an active member of an officially registered club. I request the audience to keep your videos turned off and microphones muted. The contestant's speech order has already been drawn. It will be revealed when we call the contestants in that speech order when the contest begins. I request you all to turn on your video when your name is called. Remember, the contestants are now called in the alphabetical order for the judges to identify the contestants with their respective names. Ishan Ahmed, Julie Bain, Ahmeen.
Kavi, can you read the name slowly so they can be spotlighted, please?
Yes, ma'am. Ishan Ahmed, Julie Bain, Ahmeen, Yastin Marian, and Wayne L. Stanton. Your timing begins when you make your first utterance or communication gesture, or automatically after you have been on the stage for the specified preparation time. You will have 5 to 7 minutes to present your speech. The timing lights will be activated as follows. The green light at 5 minutes, the yellow light at 6 minutes, the red light at 7 minutes, and the black light at 7 minutes and 30 seconds. The black light will then stay on until you have finished speaking. No other notice will be given to indicate that you have gone over time. You will be disqualified if your speech is more than 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Once you have finished, please turn off your video and mute your microphone. The next contestant needs to turn on the video and unmute the microphone. We will then have 1 minute silence for the judges to record their scores and for the next contestant to prepare. You can now turn off your videos and keep your microphone muted. I would like to wish you all the best of luck. For better viewing, I request the judges and the audience to keep your screens on speaker view. Our first contestant is Julie Bain. You have 1 minute to check your audio and video. Julie Bain, can you see the timer?
Yes, I can see the timer.
Have you pinned it?
I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes. Please repeat after me. I am going to succeed.
I am going to succeed.
I confirm that I can hear and see you clear. Julie Bain, your topic is what are you running from?
Julie Bain, can you just wait for a minute? Sorry, there's a technical error with the timer 1. Just for a minute.
Yeah.
Timer 1, can you please respond? Shrikari, are you in the room? Timer 1, we request you not to stop your video during the session. Can we see the timer cards, please, quickly?
Can I see them?
Yeah. Timer 1, can you quickly show us your timer cards? Is it visible, Julie?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Julie, if you're ready, we will start. Timer 1, please turn off the timer cards. Thank you. Julie, you're ready? All the best.
Whenever I see someone running, I want to yell, you can stop running. They aren't chasing you anymore. What are they running from anyways? Zombies, debt collectors, those crazy Agora speakers who keep trying to get them to come to a meeting? You have to be running from someone or something to be a runner, in my opinion. Why else would you put yourself through all that pain and agonization if you weren't running from someone or something? Several years ago, my husband decided that he was going to take up running in pursuit of running a marathon. And here is what I learned about training for a marathon. First of all, training for a marathon takes 12 to 16 weeks. In comparison, training to be a flight attendant takes 6 weeks. Now, training to be a flight attendant, you get to save lives and see the world. Training for a marathon, you're going to have a lot of pain. You have things like black toe, migraines. You're going to bleed in places that you should never, ever bleed in. You're going to have to put on Band-Aids in places that were going to make you look like an exotic dancer. It's not a good look, people. You're going to wear shorts that are way too short for you, that you shouldn't even be wearing around your house, let alone out in public where thousands of people are going to see you. You're going to have to write your name and your phone number on your arm, because by the end of the race, you're going to forget who you are. In fact, race officials are so convinced that you might not make it to the finish line that they have ambulances staged along the race course to pick you up. That's how convinced they are that you might not make it to the end. Another thing that happens is you might soil yourself along the race. You know who else does that? Babies. Is that who you want to compare yourself to competitively? I don't think so. That's not the advantage you think it is. My husband came home from his marathon last time and he had to get a titanium hip. Sure, it's the ultimate souvenir and he had to be put back together like the $6 million man, but he didn't get any superpowers. He just got a really big bill from the hospital. Also, running a marathon, how starved for validation are you that you're willing to have someone wave a cowbell in your face at 6 a.m.? Like, I'm willing to do this for him anyways. I just want to wait till a little later in the morning. Another thing about spectating is that you want the validation so you can get a bumper sticker that says 26.2 or a t-shirt that says I ran a marathon, right? My friend Maggie has the right idea. She actually sells bumper stickers that say 0.0, and she encourages you to buy these and then put them over the 26.2 stickers, which I highly encourage. Now, as a marathon runner, I know people think that they are the real heroes, but I disagree. The heroes are the spectators because they have to get themselves up at the crack of dawn because you chose to run a marathon. We have to get you to that start line while the moon is still out. And then no, we don't get to go home and go back to bed. We have to stay up with you because you decided to run this insane event. So we have to drop you off at the start line. Then we have to go watch you along that race route all day long. So we have to park our car. We have to go weave our way upstream against the rest of the crowd because you're probably not one of the fastest. So we go do that. We find you. We take a few pictures with you because if it doesn't show up in a video or a picture, it doesn't count. Then we get back in that car and we do it again. So that involves mathematical equations. Nobody told me that I was going to spend my Saturday doing math to figure out where you're going to be every hour throughout that day, but I have to do that. And then I have to be there at the very end to watch you cross that finish line, because if I didn't see you cross the finish line, none of it counts. That whole day is wasted. Meanwhile, at the end, you're given free beers, you're given trophies, you're celebrated just for running this event. I wasted my whole day. I wasn't the one that even signed up for it. Why is nobody giving me free stuff? I'm the hero in all of this, not you. All right, marathon runners, I've said my piece. I'm ready to call a truce, okay? I'm ready to just let bygones be bygones. I think that we should band together. I think we can work for good on this. If we just come together, we mend some fences, work together for a truly worthy cause, and turn our attention towards getting those bicyclists off taking all lanes of the road. What do you say? Let's join forces and make the bicyclists just use the bike lanes. Are you with me? Back to you, MC.
We will now have 1 minute of silence for judges to mark their ballot and for the next contestant, Ishan Ahmed, to check for audio and video connections.
Am I audible?
Yes, just 1 minute. Ishan Ahmed, can you see the timer?
Yes, yes.
Please repeat after me. I am going to succeed.
I am going to succeed.
I confirm that I can hear and see you clear. Ishan
Am I-
Ahmed, your topic is a way out.
Can I start?
Yes, please.
A very happy good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls present here. Myself is Ishan Ahmed, a student of grade 8 from India. Today, I am going to deliver a humorous speech. My today's humorous speech title is A Way Out. Can you guess why? Here we can know why. Here I am start. In 1697, the English playwright William Congreve wrote those famous words. Hell had no fury like a woman scorned. Today, not much has changed. A year ago, I was roaming with my two friends. We were enjoyed. My first friend spoke. Last night, my sister and I had a big fight. And when it was over, my mom locked me out of the bedroom. My other friend spoke. Last night, my sister and I had a big fight. And when it was over, my mom locked me out of the bedroom. I looked at them. Last night, my sister and I had a big fight. And when it was over, she came crawling to me on her hands and knees. My friend went astounded. That's incredible. What did she say? She thought you can't hide under that bed all night, you coward. Come out and fight like a man. All you men out there who know just how tight it is under a bed. That night, after the roaming with my two friends, I lay in bed pondering our predicament. I mean, on top of the bed. Where did we go wrong? What was our mistake? Then it occurred to me, maybe men are not the problem. Maybe all they need is a little direction. But how it give it? Then I had a mad idea. We evaluate each other all the time. The next time my sister got angry, I'd evaluate her. I was able to test my theory the following week. I'd gone out, lost track of time, and came home very late. And I forget to call her. When I opened the door, she was waiting for me. She was waiting for me. And then she thought, having lost her mind? And she proceeded to tear into me her for 10 minutes. I watched it, I listened, I took notes. When she finished, she looked at me. Well, what do you have to say for yourself? I took a deep breath and began. Sister, it was a big problem. I'm going to tell you some things that I particularly liked. And then I will point out some areas where I think you could improve. So your like areas is your facial expression is fantastic, fantastic. And your improve areas is 10 minutes. With 10 minutes is too so long. When we are angry, we see red. We see red. So you probably did not notice this card after 7 minutes. Next day, I was home again. I was came home very late, and I was afraid. What happening now? What say my sister now? I'm so afraid. And opened the door. She was really again waiting for me, and she thought that brother. Today, I tell you some areas which I particularly liked and some areas which I think you could improve for yourself. Your your like areas is your behavior is so good, and your improve areas is when you came home very late. When you came home very late, then your behavior is to make a monkey behavior. Then that day we promised that my sister and I promised that we always evaluate each other. And after 6 months, we will participate in a brother sister competition. Competition rule is brothers will speaking and sister will evaluate. I will speak and I spoke and my sister was evaluated. And finally, we won this competition of brother and sister competition. I'm so happy. And then we can re-again promise to them. My sister and I, re-again promise to that. We always evaluate each other all the time. So guys, the next your sister gets angry. That is a way out. And it's not under your bed. Listen to her. Evaluate what she is saying. And never forget that she just might have a point. So thank you everyone. Give me this opportunity. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Ishan. We will now have 1 minute of silence for the judges to mark their ballot and for the next contestant, Ahmed, to check for audio and video connections.
Hello, test, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, wow, thank you.
Yes. Main, can you see the timer?
Timer. Yes, I can see the timer.
Please repeat after me. I am going to succeed.
I am going to succeed.
I confirm that I can hear and see you clearly. Ahmed, your topic is, can I have one more baby, please?
Yeah. So can I start now?
Yes, you can start.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. My topic is, can I have one more baby, please? As we know, human beings love babies. Of course, mainly babies on television or magazine. I love watching TV, and I often imagine having my own baby. Look, one day when I was watching TV alone in my house, suddenly I feel thirsty. So that's my baby. Child, I'm thirsty. Daddy, do you want tea or coffee? Oh, not tea. Neither tea or coffee. I want Coke. Wow, it's so amazing. And many Chinese similar to my age are the only one child in their family. Why? Because this is China. Most of our parents are not allowed to have more than one child in 20 or 30 years ago. But of course, everything changes by now. Couples are encouraged to have 2 or even 3 babies. You may ask, why? Why is it? Then my answer is, yeah, here is China. You know what? It's fantastic. See, one day I was watching TV alone in my house. Suddenly, my daughter said, Daddy, I'm thirsty. Then I can just say, hey, David, go to look after your sister. She's thirsty. Take her a water. Wow, that's teamwork. I don't have to do anything. But of course, our financial conditions remind us to stop dreaming. And we know babies need to drink milk and good educated. It spends a lot of money. But the matter is, every month we spend 100% of our salary on repaying credit card. So where's the money for purchasing the food or education for even 3 babies? But our country said, you should born more babies, but I don't know how you can raise them out. And 2 years ago, my mother said to me, she urged me to work in a factory. You will learn a lot from working in a factory, she said. So I followed her word and worked in a sanitary ware factory for only 2 months. And the only thing I have learned from this experience is do not work in a factory. Never. Let me tell you more about that. My job in this factory is water QC. QC is a quality check. The process is I grab a bidet, add some water, and stand there and watch. 1 minute's over. It's okay. It passed. That's it. And one day, when my work is over, I went home Our neighbor and her 2-year-old daughter were there and chit-chatting with my mother. And my mother talked to me. Hey, darling, serve your neighbor some water. Okay, when the word water come to my mind, I reminded what I did in the factory. So I grabbed my neighbor's daughter on the table and served her water. Okay, and I watched. Wait. Okay, 10 seconds passed. This one passed. Okay, that is the end of my topic. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now have 1 minute silence for judges to mark their ballot and for the next contestant, Justin Marion, to check for audio and video connections. Justin Marion, can you see the timer?
Yes.
Please repeat after me. I am going to succeed.
I am going to succeed.
I confirm that I can hear and see you clearly. Justin Marion, your topic is impressions about childhood. The stage is yours.
Sometimes I wish I could go back to my childhood and capture all those happy memories. Kindergarten, school, loving parents, and free food. Childhood was the best, but taking a picture of every happy moment of someone's childhood would be really hard. And it would take entire years because you can't time travel, and inventing a time machine isn't really something easy or fast. Even if you could time travel, it would take about a month or so. So that is a proof that when we were kids, we didn't need that toy that we got mad about for not having and started screaming and slamming ourselves to the ground. We were happy with what toys we had because if you aren't happy with them, your parents would have just made it disappear. And then you'd be crying like a baby and realize how much you actually like that toy. It was a harsh lesson taught by your parents, a lesson that you hated but had to learn. Another happy thing in a child's life was mom's or dad's cooking. For me, it was mostly my mom. Her cooking was and still is one of the greatest things of my childhood. Like school. At school, I learned a really interesting lesson in the physics class. That lesson is that atoms never touch each other. And since everything is made of atoms, we never touch anything. So no, Mom, I did not touch the cake. Maybe the cat did it. Now, let's return to the subject of school or the children prison, how others name it. To be clear, I am not one of the people that call school that. I prefer the original name, like Thomas Jefferson High School. Although I am a kid, I kinda like school. I think that is because I'm something of a nerd. Not full, just a little, enough to make me like school and learning. But this speech isn't entirely about me, so we'll get back to the subject. As a kid, I can bet that you hated school with every cell of your body and cursed in your mind the name of who invented it. In class, your mind was always going, why, Horace man? Why'd you invent school? if you're wondering, that is the real name of my invented school. I googled it. But school was good too in other ways, like meeting your friends, playing together, nothing else. But meeting them and playing together was worth all that stress, hard work, and homework. Because as a kid, having a friend was almost as good as having a brother, but also as bad as having one, because if you are even a little selfish, sharing was hard. And I'm talking as someone who has a little brother, so I know the feeling. But besides that, as a kid, having a friend was only giving you extra bonuses for fun. You could play together, compete against each other, or just go out. Everything was better with a friend. And funnier, funny like that clown from the circus, the one that most of you are afraid of. Yeah, I know that you couldn't go to sleep because you thought that the clown was hiding under your bed and was waiting for you to go to sleep so it could grab you. Well, let me tell you something. My bed went all the way down, on all sides, so no clown could hide under my bed. They were hiding next to my bed, which is even scarier. But anyways, monsters don't exist. And you should know that. You're an adult. You only saw that in your childhood. Now, if you other things like the virus or natural disasters, another special thing that I loved as a kid were road trips, especially at night with the open road ahead and full phone battery. You could listen to music, play on your phone, sleep, or just admire the landscape. Something that you do only if your parents told you to, you got a little dizzy, or your phone battery just died. Unfortunately, the trip always ended, but there always was a second one to get you back. So that was a happy ending. Some of us actually read during trips like that, and I don't understand how. I mean, a 10-year-old reading while the car is moving? That would get me dizzy in 5 seconds. Talking about reading, I can bet that more than half of you hated even the word book as a kid. You thought it was a punishment. Obviously, I'm not talking to the people that love books. I love books too. I'm talking to the people that thought that books are boring just because they didn't put enough imagination in it. To many of us, reading was like traveling. Traveling that, unfortunately, adults cannot achieve because they lost all or maybe just a lot of their imagination. So that was the good thing about childhood. Having endless reserves of imagination, traveling in the backseat without worries, fearing inexistent monsters, playing lots of games with your friends and fellow classmates, learning difficult subjects with kind teachers, or maybe harsh ones, and of course, our parents that always took care of us no matter what and never let us down. Another special thing about parents was that they knew every stupid thing that you did exactly 10 minutes after you did it. And unfortunately, exactly 9 minutes and 58 seconds ago, I broke my mom's special vase. So I gotta go. Justin!
Thank you. We will now have 1 minute of silence for judges to mark their ballot and for the next contestant, Wayne L. Stanton, to check for audio and video connections.
Hello.
Yes. Wayne L. Stanton, can you see the timer?
Yes.
You okay. Please repeat after me. I am going to succeed.
I am going to succeed.
I confirm that I can hear and see you clear. Wayne L. Stanton, your topic is me and Prince Ali. The stage is yours.
My fellow Agorians, my fellow friends, and contest master. I'm going to take you back to 1979. I was a student at the University of Winnipeg in Canada, and my best friend was Amjad Junaid. Now, I wanted to be an engineer when I was at university, but Amjad, he wanted to be a professional wrestler. Yes, and every time we had a class, he'd update me on how he was going. He'd say, Wayne, I'm only 4 months away from my first match. I'm only 3 months away from my first match. I'm only 2 months away. I'm only 3 weeks away. Finally, he was only 1 week away from his very first wrestling match. And he says to me, Wayne, I need your help. And I said, Amjad, what can I do to help you? And he said, well, could you be my manager? And I said, well, what does a manager do? And he says, well, all you do is you come to my corner and you be like a cheerleader. If I'm doing well in the match, you're a cheerleader. You get the crowd to go wild. And if I'm getting beaten up, you pretend that you're feeling my feelings and that you're being hurt too. I said, Amjad, I can do that. And so we got ready for his first match and we showed up at the Chalmers Community Club. Now, the place was only about 200 people, so it was not a really big place. And Amjad was ready for his first match, and he had a gimmick. Yes, he was going to be Prince Ali. You see, Amjad only weighed about 160 pounds, but he was very athletic. He was like a gymnast. He could fly around through the air, and he was Prince Ali. He was going to be wrestling the notorious Caveman Broda. Now, Caveman Broda was about 300 pounds. He had a long black beard, and he was a big, scary guy. But what people didn't know was that Caveman Broda was actually the coach for my friend Amjad. And for months, they'd been working out their routine for their match. And the day came, we sat in the dressing room. There was, of course, Amjad in one corner, Caveman Broda and me. And of course, Caveman Broda said, now, Wayne, don't you dare interfere. Me and Amjad have practiced this out. We've choreographed this for 3 months. Everything is predetermined. All you do is you stand in the corner. I said, I can stand in the corner. He says, cheer if you want. I said, I can cheer. And then he said, and if Prince Ali is getting beaten up, you pretend that you're getting beaten up too. Like you express his feelings. And we're ready for the first match. And the bell almost rings. The music comes out first. First out through the curtain comes Caveman Broda. Ooga chugga, ooga chugga, ooga chugga. The fans are booing and boo. We hate you, Caveman Broda. We hate you. And then the music for my friend Amjad comes out. Prince Ali, the curtain opens and you hear Prince Ali, da 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 da. Just like the Disney movie, and out comes Prince Ali looking like something out of the movie Aladdin. He jumps in the ring. I'm thinking, I look pretty good. I have my nice suit on, a nice black suit, nice red tie. I looked a bit like Donald Trump back then, but that was 1979. The match starts and things do not go well for my friend Amjad. He's being thrown around coast to coast from pillar to post. Every once in a while, Caveman Broda lets him do a few flippy moves and do a somersault off the top rope. But Amjad is not doing well in the match. Finally, Caveman Broda reaches into his trunks and pulls out a rope. And he starts choking Prince Ali. He's choking Prince Ali. And the kids are going crazy. They go, do something, do it, disqualify that guy. The referee runs over. I'm going to disqualify you. Caveman Broda smacks him with his hand, knocks the referee into the corner. The referee is now unconscious. And the fans are screaming, whoa, what's going on here? And of course, Caveman Broda's choking young Amjad again. And they're saying, Wayne, get in there. You're his manager. Do something. I'm thinking, I'm not supposed to do anything. I'm supposed to just stand here in the corner and not do anything. They're screaming, get in there. He's your friend. You're his manager. Get in there, you coward. Oh, and I said, well, I'm a coward. I better do something. So I jumped in the ring. And what did I do? Well, I don't know. I didn't know what to do. I'm not supposed to be there. So I come up to Caveman Bro. Now, he would wear a black T-shirt over his caveman outfit, and I grabbed the back of his T-shirt, and I think I'm going to give it a little bit of a tug, and he's going to feel the resistance, and he's going to play along and come backwards. But I grab it, he doesn't play along, I pull it, I rip his shirt off. I'm holding the T-shirt of Caveman Brody in my hand. He turns around and he's angry. Oh, way, you son of a gun. And I'm frightened. I fall to the mat, roll out of the ring. With a thud, I fall on the floor. I think, well, I'm safe. And then over the top rope, I see, here comes Caveman Broda jumping over the top rope. He lands right next to me, and he's angry. What could I do? I get climbed underneath the ring. I'm climbing underneath the ring. He's reaching out, come back here, come back. He grabs my shoe. He pulls my shoe up. I climbed to the other side of the ring like a little mouse, and I ran out the other side, and I'm running for the door. And right about the time I'm going to reach the door, I see my shoe come whizzing past my head. Bang! It hits the wall in front of me. Oh, I pick up my shoe. I look at it. I turn around. I throw it back at Caveman Broda. It bounces off his head. No, he's really mad. I run out the door. I'm running down the street. I got one shoe. I look like a little penguin running down the street there for about 10 minutes. Finally, I realized, oh, Caveman Broad is probably not behind me anymore. I've been running for 10 minutes, you see, because he was a professional. And he knew that all the fans were in the building, the paid people, so he was probably there. Anyway, next day in school, Amjad says to me, hey, Wade, how do you enjoy your wrestling experience? I said, I didn't like it very much, my friend. How about you? He says, I loved it. And then Amjad says, and I brought you a souvenir that I think you're going to like. I said, show me that souvenir. And Amjad reaches into his gym bag and he gives me back my shoe. Contest master.
Thank you. That concludes the third Agorathon Humorous Speech Contest. I would now ask the Chief Judge, Timer 1, and the tally counters to leave for the breakout room. I hand over the stage to the Master of Ceremonies, Kundan Shah.
Kundan, can you please wait until the Chief Judge and the tally counters leave to the breakout room, please? Thank you.
Ma'am, I haven't got the entry to the breakout room.
Zoom Master, can you please check? Timer 1 hasn't got. Kundan, you can start. The floor is yours.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Chavi. As we await the results, let us utilize this time to learn and gain some knowledge to help with the same. We have our second speaker. To introduce the second speaker, we have a ninth grader from Hindu Public School who is into sketching and listening to music. She is Siri. Siri, the floor is yours.
Today, it makes my day to introduce this distinguished speaker. He works with business leaders, senior managers, and large corporations to move people into action for more profits and productivity. He has worked for 15 years across various industry verticals such as retail, FMCG, education, timeshare, IDES, and BPO. He has been a passionate Toastmaster, speaker, and a corporate trainer. He has won several speech contests during his Toastmasters journey. He does a marvelous job engaging large audiences. He has an ability to challenge your way of thinking and offer a bold new perspective. He's a master storyteller and offers great productivity hacks through his visual storytelling techniques. A geek, a growth hacker, an explorer, he has spoken at 50 plus large corporations and is investing all his time doing deeper research on human productivity. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Kumar Achanta as he delivers speech on impact of stories. Mr. Kumar, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Can you give me a minute, please? I thought I would come at a different time. Just give me a minute, please. Hello, can you all see me? Can you all see me and hear me?
Yes, you're audible and visible.
Okay. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, Sri. Imagine a guy climbing a mountain, and it's a very long journey and a long trek, and he's sweating, he's aching, and he's got this flag in his hands that he can't wait to put at the top of the mountain. Now imagine a friend come by in a helicopter and he sees this guy and says, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm climbing the mountain." "Well, what's your goal?" He says, "Yonder on top of the mountain. I want to get on top of the mountain." "Well, since how long you have been climbing?" And then he says, "I have been climbing already for days." "Well, look at you. You look in pain. Get into my helicopter. I can take you up there in just 3 minutes." What should he do? You see, the mistake people make is that they think the top of the mountain is the goal and the climb is the means to the goal. But that's not true. The goal is the climb and the top of the mountain is the means. Now, if you do not have a top, you couldn't climb. There would be no journey, there would be no adventure. But the mistake that people make is they think there is some moment in life or in the future when they will be happy. We are not human beings, we are human becomings. We love to grow, we love to anticipate, we love the adventure, we love the new, isn't it? We impatiently get to that moment that we think will deliver the happiness, and we are surprised that it doesn't. Because the way to happiness is to be happy on the way. Now, let's say If I do not share this story, and I just share with you all today that you got to be really happy with the process of growing, reaching your goal. Your goal is not as important as what you got to become to achieve that goal. You got to focus more on what you are becoming in the process of achieving that goal. Would it really stick in your head and hearts, ladies and gentlemen? Most probably not. Next time, if I come and ask, remember the man who was climbing up the mountain with the flag in his hand, you will most certainly recollect the entire story and also the message of being happy on the way to your goals. Did you know that we humans store our memories in the form of visuals and stories? As children, stories are an essential part of life. We learn a lot of truths through stories. Especially in India, values are inculcated through the epics of Ramayana and Mahabharata and stories like in Panchatantra. And I read this thing in one of the books that the PowerPoint presentation is the final nail in the coffin of storytelling. Effective leaders are good storytellers. I say good because a leader merely has to share a story or two to set them apart from the rest. And most leaders communicate entirely with opinion and lofty abstractions. A leader's message really sticks when he or she illustrates points through a real life experiences, which is a story. Like good writers are good readers, good storytellers are great story listeners. Story is a fact. What we will do is just wrap it in the context and deliver it with emotion. Here is a little experiment you can do to see how we are wired for stories. Okay. Have you ever been a part of a meeting with a room full of people who found their mobile screens more interesting than the discussion? Sure, you have. The next time this happens, find the right opportunity and say something like, I remember 6 years ago, and stop. Observe what happens. Almost every head will rise and look at you. It is almost as if a town is crying and screams inside everyone's brain. Look out, there might be a story coming. Stories impact more areas of the brain than data will ever do. And hence, stories involve much more. This increases the likelihood of first taking action when we hear stories and not just data. Now, let me share this scenario from a book by Indranil Chakraborty. Imagine you're making a presentation on road safety. In it, you include the following observations. Every hour, 16 lives are lost in road crashes in India. We have just 1% of the world's vehicles. India accounts for over 10% of global road crash fatalities. Studies have shown that in 4 crashes happened due to distractions created by texting and speaking on the phone while driving. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when listening to this and decoding the words, the standard language processing region of the listener's brain are activated now. Think of whether listening to this serious, startling piece of data would change the behavior among listeners. I'm talking about behavior change when you speak. Think. Now imagine a different scenario. Okay, here it goes. Ravi was in tears when narrating why he gets so agitated when he sees people using their cell phones while driving. He recalls his daughter Maya's first day as a university student. She was busy planning what to wear and how to do her hair. She was full of enthusiasm. She couldn't wait to see some old friends and make new ones. Before she left the house, they shared an ordinary breakfast, some poha, upma, and a cup of tea. Yet Ravi will never forget that simple meal. It's logged in his memory, along with the radiant smile of Maya's face as she went out of the door. She never made it to the university. Yes, she never made it to the university. She began texting a friend while driving and being distracted, did not notice a vehicle driving on the wrong side of the road and she crashed in it. That small action changed everything. Now, ladies and gentlemen, after sharing the story, and you can share the data on road accidents. For example, 16 lives lost every hour, 10% of crash fatalities with 1% of vehicles, and so on and so forth. Right? In this world of increased noise and clutter, an ability to find an express way to the listener's minds can be the most powerful skill that a speaker or a leader can improve. A major reason we use stories to convey message is that they're memorable. They help us remember a point that's been made or a lesson that needs to be learned. This has been proven time and again. Apart from stories being memorable, there are many other reasons why they can be powerful too. Number one, stories help explain critical and complex messages. Number two, stories are credible. Three, stories induce lenient behavior. And number four, stories inspire action. Stories spread. When we hear a story that involves us emotionally, or we see a movie, right, that engages us in a way that we feel empathy towards one of the characters, that we are experiencing what persuasion research calls narrative transportation. Stories that involves emotionally are the ones that moves to action. So here are some questions for you. You might have to think on it. How powerful would it be if every time you spoke, people believed you? Every time you spoke, people leaned in to listen. Every time you spoke, people remembered what you said. Every time you spoke, people were inspired to take action. And every time you spoke, people went ahead and spread your message. Wouldn't it be amazing? Now, let me share a story with you. Two monks were walking from their monastery to another nearby. One was an old wise monk, and the other was novice, an apprentice kind of monk. As they walked in silence, they came across a river. Unseasonal rains had caused the river to run high. On the banks of the river was a young lady with a kimono. Kimono is nothing but it's a form of Japanese dress. Not sure whether it was safe for her to cross. When she saw these two monks, she looked relieved and she asked for help. The young monk was aghast. He exclaimed, "Don't you see that I'm a monk? I took a vow of chastity. I require nothing from you that could impede your vow, but simple little help to cross the river." The young woman replied with a smile, "I will not. I can do nothing for you," said the young monk. At this point, the elderly monk stepped forward and said, "Climb on my back and I will help you cross." Upon reaching the other side, the old monk put the lady down. She thanked him and he responded with a welcome. With that, he started walking towards their destination. The young apprentice was agitated. "How could you do this? This is against your order, against our order. You are supposed to be my mentor. You are supposed to show me the way. When we return, I'm going to ask them to change my mentor." The young monk went on and on and on till they reached the next monastery. On reaching the gate, the elder monk paused, looked at the young monk, and said, "I did carry the lady, but I put her down on the banks of the river. It seems like you're still carrying her." This is a beautiful parable that can be used in many situations to make a point about carrying baggage and losing perspective, or about letting go of the past, or about confusing between the letter and the spirit of the law. Now, if I ask you a year from now, you knew the two monk story, I'm certain you will answer in the affirmative. That is because stories stick. What is a story? The definition that I have learned from Sean Callahan and Mark, who run one of the world's leading business storytelling companies. According to them, there are 5 elements that are essential. ingredients of a story. Listen to this very carefully. Number one, stories usually start in one of the two ways, with a time marker or a place marker. Most moral stories start with time markers. So if you hear someone say, Saturday, on Saturday, or a few months ago, or in 1995, there is a good chance that you will hear a story. And number two, stories are always about something happening, a casual sequence of events. This event followed this event, which resulted in that event. Good stories help you see what's happening. Great stories help you feel what's happening. Right? Now, number three is if you hear people's names, and in particular, if you hear dialogues, you know you're hearing a story. And number four, it isn't a story unless something unanticipated happens. Yes, my friends. A story is a promise to listener that they will learn something new. It has to contain something that is at least a little unexpected. And number five, while I often like to leave the story at the stage and let the listener draw the obvious conclusion, sometimes people are more comfortable in making sure the message is clear and driven home. A relevance statement would be, why am I telling you the story? What is the business point you're making? The story might even be prefaced with this point. Example, the leaders in the company really care about the well-being of the employees, that the rest of the history, rest is history. So then illustrates, there are four kinds of stories, ladies and gentlemen, that you can tell. You can mix and match depending upon the person or the situation. It is always a story about me. Story about me is the first one. What happened in your life? This is the time where you tell a story about your personal journey, your achievements, your failures, your journey as a leader, probably your journey as a speaker, your journey as an entrepreneur, etc. Right? And then story of us, story of journey together, how we crossed all the hurdles in life and how they tell the stories and sell their programs. And same with everyone, not just as a person, but as a team, right? And the next type of story is story of results. How much we suffered without business, no growth in life. So the results were pathetic. And then we did something magical in our life and suddenly everything changed and we got dramatic results. That's called the story of results. Story of an idea. Next one is the story of an idea. You have an amazing idea and you want to get this idea to work across whole world. And that's called a story of an idea. Before I end my talk, let me share a final story with you. One day, an old man was having a stroll in the forest when he suddenly saw a little cat stuck in a hole. The poor animal was struggling to get out. So he gave him his hand to get him out of that hole. But the cat scratched his hand with fear. The man pulled his hand, screaming with pain, lot of pain, but he did not stop. He tried to give a hand to the cat again and again. Another man was watching the scene, screamed with surprise, "For God's sakes, stop helping this cat. He's going to get himself out of there." The other man did not care about him. He just continued saving that animal until he finally succeeded. And then he walked to that man and said, "Son, it's cat's instincts that makes him scratch and to hurt. And it is my job to love and care." What message have you drawn out of this story? Thank you so much, Agoracon, for having me with you today. Thank you.
It is a speech to remember. We have definitely learned a lot from you. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for Mr. Kumar Achanta. Now I hand over the stage to Masters of Ceremony, Kundan Stratby.
Yeah, before we call on Kundan, sir, are you open for some questions?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Yes. Anyone from the audience have any questions for our speaker?
No questions?
No questions.
Stories
I have a
stick.
lot of questions. Now they are thinking how to plan the story. Now you have already told them how the steps of planning a story. So they all must be busy with the pen and paper writing their own story.
Absolutely. And Vaijayanti, I just want to share.
I just wanted to ask one thing, that is it important to have our original story, real stories, or we can like make the other story as if it is our story, or we have to be genuine in that?
Fantastic. A very good question. May I know who asked that question? It's so apt.
I'm Lima Sadia.
Okay. Ideally, as a leader, if you're running a company or running an association or Agora Speakers or could be anything, ideally it would be amazing if it is your personal story, because you remember what happened in your personal story, and you can actually narrate it so very well because you were part of it, right? It doesn't matter if you're borrowing a story. I was about to say that when Vaijayanti ma'am was asking about the questions. Please start collecting stories. Okay, you got to start collecting stories either on whatever softwares that you have, right? You have these beautiful smartphones these days, OneNote, Microsoft OneNote, Evernote, whatever note that you have. Start collecting stories and mention the heading as what was the lesson that you learned out of the story. Okay, that would really make a lot of difference. Did that answer? Stories can be your own personal, or you can also borrow and share.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anybody else? All right. I don't think there are any more questions. Vaijayanti, you have any question?
I have a list of questions I made.
Okay.
Okay, someone has raised the hand, so let me give them a chance.
Yes, I see.
Yes,
Sanjay raised his hand. Yes, Sanjay. Okay. That's a good question, Sanjay. As I mentioned in my talk, stories are going to stick, whether it is predictable or unpredictable. For you to make it more interesting, so that people lean in, and sit at the corner of their chair and listen to your talk, make it unpredictable. Again, it depends on what is the message that you're trying to give, right? See, a company, when I was working with a company, the CEO wanted to inculcate values. They have this top 5 values, top 3 values of the company, right? People just had these values at the back of the reception, on the wall, and no employee knows what the values are. So we got to create a story and explain how an employee had lived that value. Even that is a story, isn't it, Sanjay? Right? So, in one of these books, I read a lot of books where of world famous storytellers. Okay. And he mentioned about one of the value of going above and beyond customer service. Right. And there was this beautiful story about a resort and how the employee went all the way and met a customer who was stuck in the traffic and delivered food before they came to the resort. It's a story. So going above and beyond is a value, right, of customer service. And that's how through the story it has been shared and people remembered. Right? Did that answer, Sanjay? That's a good question. That was a good question. Anybody else? And I loved all the speeches day before and today, by the way. Yesterday I couldn't attend. Anybody else want to ask any questions?
Yes, we have a question from Gabriella. She raised her hand.
Yeah, Gab. Yes, Gabriella.
I have a question, Kumar, if that's still possible. And so
Absolutely.
I can't turn on my camera. Is that okay?
Absolutely okay.
Yes, I have a question. Now, in this book, I suppose everybody has read by Noah Harari, *Sapiens*. Of course, you know about it. Harari plays an important defines gossip as being the element that helped early Homo sapiens develop. So it was gossip itself that led to our evolution as a species, as an intelligent species. How far do you agree with that? And what is the difference and what is the distance between gossip and stories?
Fantastic, Gab.
Are you talking about
the book? Yeah. Are you talking about the book *Sapiens*, by the way?
Yes. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
That's an amazing book. How many of you read? Raise your hands. How many of you read it? Isn't it an amazing book? And that was a great question, Gab. What was gossip all about? Isn't it stories?
That's my question.
Yeah, isn't it stories? There are stories. People gossiped about probably situations, circumstances, or other people. Gossip is nothing but it's just another form of story. That's why it is so interesting, That's why it becomes so interesting. And people give you 2 years. Okay, tell me what happened next. Right? That's a story. Okay. And I do agree with that. Whatever mentioned in that. Yes. Thanks. Anybody else? All right. Thank you so much, Agoracon, for giving me this opportunity to come here. And
my questions, Kumar.
Yes. Go ahead.
No, I wanted to continue on what Gabriella was asking. Basically, I just wanted to ask this. Isn't there a fine difference between gossip and a story?
There is. When I said gossiping is also stories, what I meant was when you want to share a story as a speaker, what is the message that you want people to take away? I mean, when you are really clear about that while making the speech or while creating your story, whatever, if you're giving a speech of 30 minutes or 15 minutes or 10 minutes, what is that one thing or two things that you want people to carry with them always? That and then prepare the story accordingly. Yes, there is a fine line. Gossiping sometimes gets negative, right? But definitely not the stories. People have to learn something out of the story. That's what I said in my talk. You have to send a message. You have to give a very powerful message. Like those two monks. Do you remember the story? I'm sure you do. Thank you so much.
Okay, one final question before I say bye to you. Okay, the question is, when I was going through your list, when you were telling how to prepare and personalize your story and all, many a times what happens, we have a story in mind, okay, and we try to understand the audience and try to connect our story with them. But we do get lost due to the stress at that moment, or due to unforeseen circumstances, or whatever can be the issue. So how do we get our message across and handle that particular moment?
I have 3 answers for that. Okay. Practice, practice, practice. Yes, there will be unforeseen circumstances. Sometimes systems wouldn't work, internet will stop. I mean, I don't know what all can happen, but it's always about practice. Let me tell you, whenever I used to go for a speech contest, I have won several speech contests and storytelling and all that, but I don't know if you would believe, I would practice it at least a minimum of 140 times. A 10-minute speech. 140 times. That means with every word, I know what gesture to be given, what hand movement, what expression to be given. It has to be practiced. And you will easily see, I'm sure Vajanti, Sanjay, and so many others, you would agree that you would see the difference between a speaker who practiced and a speaker who did not. Right? All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was lovely having you. Although we did throw a curveball asking you to come half an hour in advance, you did take it up.
I was not ready. I was doing something else. Good that I did not log in at 8:45. Okay, I logged in early, and I was listening.
We would have woken you up. Who said Indian stretchable time? We know how to even contract it. Thank you so much for taking that in your stride, Kumar.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Vajanti. Thank you so much. It was amazing having you here.
Yes. And now I call upon Kundar, the Masters of Serve. Thank you.
Now, as we couldn't present two videos which would be given by our members before, now I would like our third speaker, Varsha. Varsha is pursuing her engineering and loves cooking and reading books. The video will be presented by the Zoom master now.
Hi everyone, hope all of you are doing great. Hi everyone, hope all of you are doing great. My name is Varsha and today I'm going to speak about how social media has an influence on today's generation. Social media has become a big part of everyone's life. The first things what we do early in the morning as soon as we get up is to check our phone with new messages and notifications. As per 2018 survey, most teenagers from the age 13 to 17 are most of the time on online platform and 97% of them already have accounts on many social media like Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram and so on. But what exactly does social media has an impact on us? Social media helps you to create an online identity and bring a group of people together. For example, if you have a hidden talent and want to showcase it to the world, all you have to do is to prepare an appropriate content, record a video and post it on any social media platform. And it would reach to a large number of people. And also, social media helps you to learn new things. For example, I have learned cooking through watching YouTube videos and using Google as my platform. But social media also kills a lot of your time. Without knowing, we spend most of our day watching unnecessary stuff on social media. And also, we give too much of our personal information and allowing others to know things going on in our lives. It is always not very important to do such kind of things. Everything has its two sides, good and bad. It is very important for us to choose the right path. Social media isn't a time bomb, but a slow poison which does not allow us to do other things. So guys, concentrate on things which need more time and do not get influenced on all the stuff going on social media. Thank you.
Thank you. Our fourth speaker is Chahal. Chahal is studying in 7th grade from Timpani Senior Secondary School. Her hobbies are swimming, singing, cricket, gymnastics, badminton, and writing stories.
Everybody, today I, Chahal, would like to share my story about the very recent trip to Arku and Anantgiri. On 13th August, we headed for Anantgiri. And in Anantgiri, we stopped near an adventure park, and over there I did many adventures like sky cycling, zip line, and even artificial rock climbing. The best out of these three was the rock climbing and zip line. Well, the zip line was a little too scary. So once we were done with the adventures over there, we headed for the resort in the Anantgiri. But unfortunately, there were no rooms available. So we had to stay in a small guest house that belonged to the resort, and it was on the top of the mountains. Imagine, we were in the middle of the mountains and it was so green over there. So the next morning, we headed for a stay in Arku. So in Arku, we stayed in the Harita resorts. And imagine that, guess what? That resort was so good. Over there, there was swimming pool, children rides, badminton court, and many other things. And I even met my friend over there. So in Harita resorts, once we were settled in our rooms, we went to swim in the pool, and it was so fun. And once we were done with swimming, we went to the places outside the resort. First, we went to the coffee museum. Over there, I got to learn a lot about coffee, like the preparations, the history, and a lot more. And do you know, coffee was discovered by a goat owned by a man named Kalji.
After that, we went to the tribal museum. The sculptures there were almost like real people, real humans. Once we were done with that, we went back to our resort. The next morning, we headed for Bora Caves and Chaprai View. So the Chaprai View was so beautiful and the Bora Caves were also so beautiful. I climbed more than 100 stairs over there. So that was my last destination. So this was the full trip that we had in Anantagiri and Arku. I would surely recommend you guys to go there because these are the best places. Out of both places, I enjoyed the most in Arku. Thank you and hope you enjoyed my speech.
Thank you. Now is the time to get our results for Humorous speech contest. Chubby, we request you to do the needful.
Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome our Chief Judge Mike Nicholson.
Okay, I'm with you. Okay, would you like me to read the scores or you have something else first?
No, you can just start with, you can just tell out the result.
Okay, so listen up carefully. These are the three scores, the top three for the Humorous Speech Contest, Agora 2022. In third position is Amin, or Zerua Guo as his full name, from China. Second position is Justin Marian from Romania. Wow. And our finalist, our champion, is none other than, drumroll, Wayne Stanton. Congratulations, Wayne. So just to recap, in first position, our champion is Wayne Stanton. Our second placed position is Amin. And our third position is, sorry, second position was Justin Marian. Our third position was Amin.